داخلي وهنا عدو برا. الناس ما عايزين اننا نصغروا. استقرار اللي احنا عملناه من ابريل حتى الان ما في سمينه تلقى يوم واحد. اقول للمواطن بتاعنا عمل اعمال بتاعك الناس دي تتجاهلوا لانه هم في السوشيال ميديا. خلي ده الناس ما دايرين اننا نصغروا في ابناء الخاصه ده. فانا نقول للشعب بتاعنا انتوا اقعدوا بالهدوء واصبروا في بلد بتاعكم وكل ذول ما ده شغل بو القال جاي ولا قال شنو نقول لهم انه ديل كل الاعوام وديل كل الاشاعات اللي انتم بتسمعوه مسافه بعيد. ما في حاجه جاي لملكان، ما في حاجه بيجي على النيل. الجيش ما موجود ونحن برضه ما موجودين كحكومه. حكومه موجود، حكومه والله وحكومه الاتحاديه. فالناس ما يخافوا، فوضع مستطب. فكل ذول يعمل اعمال بتاعه ما يكون في رواب في داخل المدينه، ما يكون في خوف للمواطن بتاعنا. حكومه بتاعكم جاي.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. President Salva Kiir has announced plans to sign an agreement with the government of Ethiopia to receive power from the newly inaugurated Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The Minister of General Education says adult literacy in South Sudan has increased to 35% from 28% in recent years. And the National Police Service said 9 people were killed while 3 others died by suicide across the country last week, according to its latest weekly report. This story and more coming to you in this bulletin with me, Diko. Now the news in details. President Salva Kiir has announced plans to sign an agreement with the government of Ethiopia to receive power from the newly integrated Grand Ethiopian Dam. President Kiir joined fellow African and Caribbean leaders for the official inauguration ceremony of the dam located in Ethiopia, Gumuz region near the Sudanese border today. Speaking at the event on Tuesday, September 9th, Kiir said the dam is a symbol of unity, sacrifice and demonstration, adding that it shows what a nation can achieve when its people stand together.
And like I say, those people have never stepped their foot there since
Among the dignitaries attending the event were Djibouti President Umar and Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed and Kenyan President William Ruto. Also present were Prime Minister Mia Mottley of the Barbados and Prime Minister Monsieur of Eswatini. The General Education says Minister adult literacy in South Sudan has increased to 35%, up from 28% in recent years. Kual Abol Quad made the announcement during the celebration of International Literacy Day on Monday. Quad said the government is expanding education programs targeting adults, including those in the organized forces, through the accurate learning program to increase the literacy rate.
The challenges facing this new system of education, I am delighted to say that on these 2 counts, South Sudan has made some progress since 2005. As it was said before, adult literacy rate is now at 35% from 28%. This literacy rate is still among the lowest. It is still among the lowest in the world. And that is why we have targeted adult literacy programs in schools and outside the schools for government institutions such as the army and the organized forces.
He also mentioned the minister revealed that the school enrollment has risen to more than 2 million, just 300,000 in 2005. In another news, the National Police Service says 9 people were killed while 3 others died by suicide across the country last week, according to its lastly weekly report. According to Major Leith Wilson Simon, Deputy Police Spokesperson, the case were recorded between September 1st and September 8th, and Major Simon says the deaths were reported in different states and were as a result of stabbing, shooting, suicide, and unknown causes. He says 2 of the dead are foreigners, including one who died by suicide and another identified as a Syrian national who died of an unexplained cause. Speaking to an exclusive interview with iRadio, Major Simon says despite the incident, the general security situation remained calm across the country.
خدمة الشرطة جنوب السودان الوطنية إدارة التوجيه المعنوي والعلاقات العامة مكتب نائب الناطق الرسمي باسم الشرطة. التقرير الأمني الأسبوعي من يوم 1/8/2025 لحد يوم 8/8/2025 الاثنيني. خلال الفترة من 1/8 سبتمبر 2025 ظل الوضع الأمني في البلاد مستقر وهادئا نسبيا على الرغم من تسجيل عدد من الحوادث الجنائية في بعض الولايات والمناطق الإدارية. واصلت خدمة الشرطة جنوب السودان الوطنية عبر هياكلها المختلفة القيام بواجباتها بمسؤولية بتنسيق مع الأجهزة الأمنية الأخرى في سبيل تعزيز الأمن العام، وما ذلك فإن الأمن مسؤولية الجميع، وعليه نحث المواطنين على مواصلة التعاون مع الشرطة والإبلاغ عن أنشطة مشبوهة.
The report also highlighted a robbery incident in Eastern Equatorial State where 2 civilians are robbed of their belongings and a child abducted in an area called Korgan. The police also reported the shooting incident in Tompura County, Western Equatorial State, which caused fear among the local population. In Lake State, police recorded several killings in Rumbek Center, Joybet, and Ural West, which one suspected is arrested. In Warrap State, Tonj North County, 1 civilian was injured by gunfire following a shooting, while in Unity State, Ropkona, several suspects were arrested in connection with the armed attack. In another news as well, civil society activist Edmund Yakani has raised concern over the detention of South Sudanese citizens, mainly women tea sellers in prison across Sudan. Yakani, he received several distress calls from the South Sudan women being held in town, including Omdurman. He said many of them fear facing political trials or even death sentence. According to Yakani, the women are allegedly being forced to confess to supporting either the Sudan Armed Forces or the Rapid Support Forces amid the ongoing conflict in Sudan.
I would like to remind, in a respectful and constructive manner, the political leadership in Juba and Khartoum, there's a need to establish a joint committee to look into these issues. And I would like to appeal to our National Legislative Assembly leadership to raise a motion to ask our Minister of Foreign Affairs to work with the Sudan Embassy here to look into these issues of South Sudanese who are facing legal trial in various prisons in Sudan on whatever allegations they are. But also I'd like to remind Juba and Khartoum that the 2 capitals have signed 4 freedoms. Among the 4 freedoms is freedom of movement and residency. We are aware, I will appeal to Juba and Khartoum, the citizens of the 2 countries, in the face of your political differences, they shouldn't be persecuted because of your political differences.
Yakani also called on the government in Juba and Khartoum to form a joint committee to look into the safety and legal protection of the affected citizen. He also appealed to South Sudan's National Legislative Assembly to push the Minister of Foreign Affairs to engage with the Sudanese embassy in Juba and help resolve the matter.
I have received multiple phone calls from South Sudanese individuals, mainly women who are. I would like to remind, who are in a respectful and constructive manner, the political leadership in Juba and Khartoum, there's a need to establish a joint committee to look into these issues. And I would like to appeal to our National Legislative Assembly leadership to raise a motion to ask our Minister of Foreign Affairs to work with the Sudan Embassy here to look into these issues of South Sudanese who are facing legal trial in various prisons in Sudan on whatever allegations they are. But also I'd like to remind Juba and Khartoum that the two capitals have signed 4 freedoms. Among the 4 freedoms is freedom of movement and residency. We are aware. I will appeal to Juba and Khartoum, the citizen of the two countries. In the face of your political differences, they shouldn't be prosecuted because of your political differences.
Lastly, a member of the National Parliament has raised concern that Senior 4 results are yet to reach schools more than 2 weeks after they were released. Gail Theonyoth, who represents Unity State, told lawmakers during Monday's sitting that the results are not accessible, especially in remote areas. He said although the Minister of General Education signed a contract with a mobile company to help students access their results, many areas do not have network coverage. The MP also said that 7,000 South Sudanese pounds needed to check the results is too expensive for most families. He said the results should have been sent direct to school so students could have access to them without any cost.
Yeah, my information today, general education. Madam Speaker, seeing the result of S4 was released 2 weeks ago, the result up to now not yet reached the school. At that time, Minister of General Education and digital, they make a contract. The students, they get the access through digital. But when we came, there's some remote area where there's no digital. Again, the 7,000, not all the family, they can afford even to access the result. Suppose the result should reach to the school, the student should get what? The result. But up to now, the result not yet reached to the school.
In response, Speaker Jimmy Nunukumba said the Parliament will summon the Minister of General Education to answer lawmakers' question on the issue. You're listening to RD News, now to the international news with my colleague, that is Akile Joseph.
One of the Gaza-bound vessels carrying aid and pro-Palestinian activists, including Greta Thunberg, was struck by a drone, the flotilla organizers have confirmed. Global Summit Flotilla posted footage on Instagram that appeared to show the Portuguese flag vessel being hit by an object and said all 6 passengers and crew were safe after the incident outside the Tunisian port of Sidi Bou said. Tunisian authorities, quoted by Reuters, said reports a drone was involved had no basis in truth, adding an initial inspection indicated the explosion originated inside the vessel. Elsewhere, more than 20 people have been killed in a Russian airstrike on a village in eastern Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky has said, citing initial reports. The victims were ordinary people collecting their pensions in the Donetsk settlement of Yaruva, he said. Yaruva, to the north of Sloviansk, is one of the big cities in the region and not far from the front line as Russian forces advance slowly in the east. And finally, the U.S. lawmakers have released a copy of an arbitrary book given to the late convicted financier Jeffrey Epstein in 2003, which includes a note allegedly signed by the U.S. President Donald Trump. The book was released with a trove of documents that include Epstein's will and his personal address book with contacts that include royalty, celebrities, models, and politicians from around the world. Lawyers from Epstein's estate sent documents to the State Oversight Committee after being subpoenaed last month. And that's all from the regional and international scene, brought to you by Prestige Millers Company Limited.
Thank you so much, Akile. And now to the news for sport with my colleague Moses Darlington.
In the world of sport, Yei Joint Stars FC have beat JKU Princesses of Zanzibar 4-2 at Ulinzi Stadium yesterday. The game was part of the fixtures of the CAFA Women Tournament. Meanwhile, Bright Star Men national team will face Mauritania this evening, the 8th round of qualifiers. The game part of the fixtures of 2026 FIFA World Cup qualification tournaments. Tunisia qualified for the 2026 FIFA World Cup after scoring a dramatic stoppage time winner away against Equatorial Guinea. The North Africans came under pressure for most of the game in Malabo, with the hosts needing victory themselves to keep alive their own hopes of reaching the finals. Tunisia had goalkeeper Ahmed Dahman to thank for his strange saves in the second half as he acrobatically kept out efforts from Saul Koko, Emilio Siu and Alessandro Mazogo. And Ghana took a big step towards qualifying for the 2026 World Cup with a 1-0 home win over Mali. Alexander Ziku scored the only goal for the Black Stars in the 49th minute in Accra after Mali goalkeeper Zigu Diarra failed to gather Jordan Ayew's in swinging corner. Mali, who needed a win to keep alive their own hopes of automatic qualification, dominated the final half hour but could not find a way back into the game against a resolute home defense. Newcastle United midfielder Sandro Tonali scored an injury-time winner as Italy snatched a dramatic victory over Israel in 9-goal World Cup qualification tournament thrillers yesterday. Israel led 1-0 and 2-1 in a remarkable tie before Italy moved 4-2 ahead and looked on course for a vital 3 points. However, Israel scored in the 87th minute and 89th minute respectively to make it 4-4 before Tonali called in a low shot from 20 yards through a crowded penalty area and into the bottom corner for the winner in the 91st minute. This is all in the world of sport. Back to you, Diko Andrew.
Thank you so much, Darlington Moses. With that being, we came to an end with our news today. But let's remind ourselves with the headlines. President Salva Kiir has announced plans to sign an agreement with the government of Ethiopia to receive power from the newly inaugurated Grand Ethiopian Dam. The Minister of General Education says adult literacy in South Sudan has increased to 35%, up from 28% in recent years. And the National Police Service says that 9 people were killed while 3 others died by suicide across the country last week, according to its latest weekly report. That's marked the end of our iReady News at 1. If there is any story or event you would like iReady to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at 1/2 past the hour. I'm Diko Andrew. Thank you for listening.